Hey guys, welcome back. Patrick here. One of the questions you guys ask me most often is, where is the bank charter? We absolutely need it. It is going to really help us because, in my personal opinion, without the bank charter, Sofi currently is not a $20 plus stock. But when they do get a bank charter, it is going to really help the stock, which is currently free falling. So in this video, what we're going to do, we are going to look at some of the rumors circling around the company right now. There are some talks that maybe the bank charter is a little bit closer than we expected. And also I want us to look at what's going on with the stock. I'll give you my thoughts and some of the important dates you need to pay attention to that are really going to help you trade around the stock over the next month. So let's get started. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Alright guys, welcome back. So currently, investors in Sofi are feeling the pain. We can pretty much say that we're pain holders rather than shareholders. As I've been filming this, the share price is $12.84, which is almost a full dollar under where it was back in August, the historical support level at $13.75. So now that we're below that, we don't really have a reference point. We're in uncharted territory, and the only next potential support that we know of would be the SPAC price, which IPO'd at $10. So we don't really know what's going to happen with that. We are going to need two big things to really spark this stock back to life. We're going to need strong earnings in 2022, which analysts are expecting 40%. And we are also going to need to get that bank charter, which currently is a big lid on top of the company. Everyone has said that if the company gets a bank charter, like some of their competitors, it is going to help their operations. They are going to be a little bit more profitable potentially, right? They're going to start generating more profits because their cost of lending is going to go down, and they'll be able to use the deposits, right, from the members to actually make loans, and it's going to just overall give them more flexibility. So I'll give you an example later of Lending Club, which is another fintech company that got their license, and it really helped them tremendously. So for those of you that are not as familiar, let me give you a very quick timeline of what's going on. So back in 2020, on October 28th, Sofi got the conditional preliminary license to establish a national bank from the OCC, right? But nothing really came of it. The company had already tried in 2017. They had withdrawn their application. Now they tried again in 2020. They got the conditional approval, but nothing really happened, right? That's been almost a year and a half ago. So they felt like they needed a little bit more help. Back on March 9, 2021, they announced that they were going to try to acquire Golden Pacific Bancorp, a little community bank in California that has 3 branches. And since that little bank already has a charter, the goal was to help Sofi get theirs a little bit quicker. That's what Lending Club did. All right, so of course, for us, we have a curse on us for some reason. Nothing ever goes smoothly. This guy, Rick Fowler from Golden Pacific Bancorp, actually sued the bank over the Sofi acquisition. The full article is behind a paywall, so you guys can actually pay for it if you really want to read it. But overall, what it says is that he's trying to contest judicially this acquisition and trying to reverse it. Now, does he just want to get a payoff from the company? That's possible. I'm not exactly sure. So I've been trying to follow the court case over the past few months, but there hasn't really been any updates. Now, every time people ask me, where's the bank charter? Personally, I always felt because I've dealt with some judicial things before, and I've always felt it was probably going to take quite a while, and it's possible that the OCC was not going to give them a bank charter until this was actually resolved in court, right? Is the actual acquisition going to be reversed or not? Apparently, someone on Twitter actually, they have been contacting Sofi to see updates on the bank charter, and this is where it gets interesting. So I want to show you two screenshots of tweets. Now, you know that Twitter is not necessarily the most reliable, but this is the information we've had over the past couple of days. The first one is this one, bank charter status. So thank you for your email. Of course, we unfortunately cannot provide an update, but what it says is the process has been completed satisfactorily and we are awaiting a response. We have no control over the timing, right? So this is very, very like generic, but what it says is, I can assure you we followed all rules and regulations related to the application and we are in good standing with the OCC and Fed. Basically, what it says is, according to SoFi, they did everything right and there's no big problem there. All right, but that's still a very generic answer, right? We don't really learn much more from that. Now, this is where it gets a lot more interesting. There was a follow-up by another Twitter user. Now, personally, I'm always skeptical about Twitter. There's a lot of pumpers out there, including this person. If you go look at her feed, she's always pumping different stocks, but she is followed by Anthony Noto, and she clearly follows SoFi pretty closely. All right, so I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Apparently, her husband contacted the investment relations for SoFi, and he didn't ask a generic question. Now, keep in mind, like, the bank charter is material information. They are never going to give you like specific information about it, which is why the previous one was fairly generic. In this case, though, they use a different angle. They asked specifically if the Rick Fowler lawsuit would be like impeding the company getting the approval from the OCC. And here's the answer. No, the lawsuit did not in any way impede our bank charter application process. All of our deliverables are in and the agency investigations have been completed. This is excellent news, right? This is a little bit more detailed. It means that if the lawsuit with Rick Fowler takes 2 years, 4 years, you guys know how the judicial system in California can take forever, right? If you've ever tried to do anything there, well, you know that if it's not impeded by that, that is excellent news for SoFi. So that means that if the OCC has all the information right now, they can pretty much give us the approval any day now, right? So it is up to them. We don't control the schedule, but that means that it could be next week, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, but we don't need to wait for that lawsuit to be concluded, which could take years and years and years if they wanted to really drag it out. So I am very, very encouraged by that. Now, other news that came out is Morgan Stanley revised down their price target for SoFi. So that is a small knock, right? They bring it to $20 from $22 they added before, from 22 right here. But they still expect 40% growth for the company, and them actually putting in at $20 when the stock has crashed to under 13 is still very positive. It means that bigger like analyst firms still believe in the company and see the long-term growth prospects. So again, I won't read all of it, but you guys can read if you want more details. Now, last thing I want to show you guys is why does this matter so much? Right? And why, if we get it in 2022, is it going to really help spark the share price probably going back up? That is because if you look at some of the comparables, companies like Lending Club, which is not really comparable one-to-one to SoFi, but the reason why I'm following Lending Club very closely is that currently SoFi is struggling with their student loan refinancing, right? That's not very appealing for most people. So the big driver of growth for SoFi right now are personal loans. And when it comes to personal loans, there's no company that is more like in that market than Lending Club. So you can get a lot of insight into that market through Lending Club, which specifically I want to show you guys that their next earnings are going to be January 26th, right? So you want to mark that on your calendars, and on January 26th, if Lending Club says, hey, we got tremendous like success over the past quarter, you can assume that when SoFi is going to report 2 weeks later, they're also going to report great numbers. So you want to use that like to your advantage. It's going to also be the opposite, right? If a Lending Club says that their numbers were really bad with personal loans in the fourth quarter, you can expect that SoFi is probably not going to do that well. So keep that in mind. That is a very quick, easy tip that you guys can use in your investing. I always do that in earnings season. Like, try to find the comparables for the company, and that's going to give you insight into that industry. As I wrap up the video, let me show you why this is such an important catalyst for SoFi. Why is it going to help us recover that share price potentially to 20 plus? Well, it's very easy. It is going to help transform the company from a small, nice growth stock into potentially a bank worth tens of billions of dollars in the future. We have an example here. We kind of have a model to follow with Lending Club once again. They got their own bank charter back in 2020, and I'm going to show you a little tidbit of information here. So we won't read the full article, but it is very, very interesting how it transformed the company for the better. So back in 2020, they got Radius Bank, and they gained a bank charter. And here's what's really interesting about it. We were partnering with banks, and those banks in 2019 earned about 30 million off of our activities. So remember, at the time, they didn't have their bank charter, and they were doing just like Sofi. They were kind of like a middleman, which doesn't provide as much value. They were taking money from their members and just depositing it in a regulated institutions, and that institution was the one like making easy revenues from that. So after that, they did acquire Radius, they became a bank charter, right? But before that, they were paying the Fed fund rates plus 330 basis points on $1 billion. So their borrowing costs were much higher. Now look at what happened after they got their bank charter. Using deposits to pool loans, the cost of deposits for Radius Bank when it was acquired was around 28 basis points. So that cut Lending Club's cost for that activity by 90%. Right, so their borrowing costs dropped by 90% after getting the bank charter. That's a big deal. That's going to help improve the margins by a lot. And Lending Club now is starting to become profitable when it lost money before. All right, so on top of that, becoming a bank means adding interest income as a revenue stream. And the last thing I wanted to show you guys, we're basically knocking out expenses and having revenue for doing the same activity. What's powerful about that is it's independent of loan originations. All right, so it just adds a lot of flexibility for SoFi. We absolutely need this, and the fact that it can come any day now means that even though currently the share price is in the dumpster, it's actually a good time to either buy a little bit more, maybe dollar cost average down if you're stuck with a much higher price as a cost basis, right? We can't really despair, and now is not really the best time to like dump your shares or anything. Remember, not a financial advisor, this is just me analyzing the stock. Personally, I'm just holding. I might add a little bit more. I bought some 2023 calls before, right? And hopefully we get a nice recovery over the next few months. The big catalyst we'll be looking for, remember, is Lending Club on January 26th. That's going to give us a little bit more clarity into what SoFi is going to be reporting. I'll see you guys in the next video.